Hi guys, it's Trev, idiot on a motorbike, also known as the body mechanic. We'll continue with our saga of the Highway to Heaven tour. So day 4, Tuesday, which is really Thursday's ride out, as everybody kept saying, was a long day in the saddle. A figure of 8 route, seeing us heading slightly south before coming round and heading north of Ulrickham. Now we ate breakfast at 8 AM as we normally did each day. Everyone took a bit extra food like bread, cakes, cheese, ham, etc. and made sandwiches for the day, what people call a helmet lunch. Well, it's there, so it's going to go to waste, so why not? And we'd paid for it. Some, however, took a lion's share, while others, me included, just made one sandwich, cheese and ham. We all met outside once we'd done that, and I was asked which direction we were heading. I told them all, straight across, straight up the road there, past the petrol station. We'd all fueled up last night, so no need to stop yet. Nufenen Pass was our first destination. Once everyone was ready, I pulled to the front of them all and set off, not heading straight across as I should have done, but turned left stupidly, heading for Furka Pass, and just like sheep, they all followed, as they would. Well, it is follow my leader. As I rode after about 1 mile, I was thinking to myself, this isn't right. We're heading in the wrong direction. Silly me. I'd put the first leg of what should have been Wednesday's route on my sat-nav, which was heading back over Furka Pass. So as soon as I found a safe place for us to turn around, I executed that manoeuvre. Not quite sure what they were all thinking, but I gave everyone a smile and a wave as I passed them. They were all smiling back, but later on at our first stop, they kind of took the mick a bit about it. Now we were back at the Astoria hotel at our original starting point and turned immediately left, heading straight up towards Nufenen. And wow, is all I can say. This is a top class pass, reaching a height of 2,478 metres. It's got great road surface, but then all the road surfaces over here are great. And a decent sized road which wiggled its way through the valley initially with the odd hairpin, but some lovely gentle sweeping turns. Then came the climb. The real hairpin started and allowed the snaking road to ascend. Just prior to Landstaffel, I opened up Ronda on each of the straights. The roads were very quiet, but you could see anything coming from a big distance away. Now I had Gertrude with Stephen on it and the Pan American of Andrew directly behind me, keeping pace with me, but slowly I pulled away. At each hairpin, I would pull a little further ahead of the German BMW, which in turn had the Pan American still sat behind him, slowly leaving a good distance between us three and the rest of the pack. Then, before we were too far ahead of the rest, I pulled in for a photo opportunity. Everyone came in eventually. I did have a little joke about how Gertrude and Stephen were lagging behind in my opinion, and the German bike was preventing the Pan American from staying with me. Just having a jibe at the BMW GS 1200, you know, it's got to be done. Or maybe it was the rider, who knows. That said, Andy with his Pan America was just happy to just ride behind the BMW. Continued over Nufenen and down into the valley, carrying on to Airolo, the start of the infamous Cobbled San Gotthard Pass, which reaches a height of 2,106 metres. Now we were doing the old original pass, not the new one. We certainly welcomed doing the cobbles in the dry and in the sun, when it was out of course. It could have been treacherous if it had been wet. We climbed up nice and steady, not wanting any accidents, and to be honest, the cobbles can be notoriously slippy even in the dry weather. There were virtually no traffic here, except for those pesky cyclists. Mind you, they were probably thinking, those bloody noisy motorbikes, as we passed them. All the traffic now goes up the new San Gotthard Pass, hence it being extremely quiet. The new road is quite a sight to see, but the old cobble road is still one that's very much well worth doing. The new pass is nicely blended into the mountain with aspects that extend outwards stood on pillars. Now these are the bends. The road comes out away from the mountain and then curves round heading back in the opposite direction, so a full 180 degree turn, but clings onto the mountain side again. We worked our way up the old pass, had one photo stop with quite a few hairpins in view, then we continued further, and I seemed to get ahead of most of the group. I'd made my way up about 4 hairpins ahead, where I was able to stop on the side of the road and video the others coming up. Now this made for great footage in my daily video. We continued till we could pull in at a gravelled parking area, but alas, the massive hairpins was now out of sight, so out came the drone. I flew it away, out of sight, but had the view on my handheld controller. The clouds were in the way, so there wasn't much you could see. I took a picture and a bit of a video before bringing it back to me, and this gave a great video of us all stood watching it. We had not realised it, but we were only about 100 metres from the actual top, and when we arrived it was very busy. Obviously everyone else had used the new pass to get there. We parked all the bikes up in a row at the edge of Lago della Piazza lake, all wanting to get a photo with Adler Denkmal landmark. Then off to the General Alexander W. Suwarrow monument, where Tony decided to mount the horse before having his photo taken. I think he was trying to make himself look cool, whilst trying not to slide off the back of the horse as the horse was arched downwards. Whilst taking a photo of the lake with Gotthard Pass Wind Park in the background. Then Tony only went and did some boulder hopping, out into the lake about 5 foot, where he successfully climbed this big boulder, but not before nearly falling in, and we were all watching, just anticipating him taking the plunge. It took some doing, but we finally left and made our way down the new Gotthard Pass towards Andermatt, and then on to Wassen. The sun was out in force, it was very hot now, and we were all parched and in need of a coffee or a cold drink. So we pulled in at Hotel Carrig. This was our official stop point, and the owner was kind enough to oblige us, whilst we sat under brollies, protected from the sun in the courtyard. From Wassen, we were straight onto the Susten Pass, going to a height of 2,260 metres. Now my plan was for 2 photo stops, but this became 3, one being quite a long one. We hit the hairpins and steadily made our way higher. As we passed through the tunnel at the top, we came to the Susten's Passoho. This was where we had our long break, and the views of the Susten Splits Peak, which was still covered in snow, was a lovely sight to see. Everyone was busy snapping photos with their phones, but Helen wanted her softail directly under the Susten's Hospice sign. Now, there was quite a bit of a queue here for the spot, as you might expect, mainly from cyclists, who, to be fair to them, they'd earned that right cycling up. But Helen muscled her way in, just rode her bike straight up to it, stopping the abundance of cyclists from getting in next to the sign so she could have her moment of fame with her baby on the top. Don't think any of those cyclists was going to complain though, with us rough lots backing her up, and a few of us also got a shot here. However, a short distance away, further along the road, was the Grand Tour sign, which I think I was the only one to go to. I took myself off with my Canon camera for some optional pictures. It was not an easy walk in riding gear, may I say, in the heat of the day, but well worth every step for the images I took. We continued our journey down and off Susten's, but not before I too had had my picture took under the famous sign. Well, you cannot come all this way and not get that memento. That's my opinion. We headed north before having a quick stop at Lungern Lake. The water was mesmerizing. Its turquoise colour was absolutely stunning. It's a sight to see. But then all the lakes around here are like that. It does not matter which lake you stop at, the colour is nothing like our lakes, and a sight to behold, and one which I will never tire from seeing. After a longer than planned stop, we headed for fuel and then went over a small low-level pass called Brünig. Now this had a few hairpins just to keep us entertained and our brains hankering for more. Our journey continued onto and over the single-track pass known as Panorama Pass. Now this was a great pass, not like the other high mountains, not anywhere near as high, but the single track, the forests we rode in, the twists and the turns, they were awesome. But eventually we made it to its summit. and it had a view to die for. We stopped here and ate our packed lunch we'd brought with us, courtesy of the breakfast menu, but I also had a nice pasta pot to go with mine. I got talking to a local biker who was here when we arrived. He was sat on the bench next to me, so I made conversation. He was from the village of our next location we were heading to. He told me that we had chosen well to have come midweek instead of on a weekend, as it gets very busy and very slow due to it being a single track. It would have been a totally different pass under those conditions, no fun at all. So whilst we were there, a really fancy trike pulled up, and it looked awesome, I've got to admit. And as usual, Helen was straight there. Went straight up chatting to its owner to get her photo taken while sat in it. You just can't take her anywhere. After we'd all finished our lunch, we needed to head off. Time was of the essence. We rode down the other side, and once at the bottom we were riding some great valley roads, which was meant to bring us round to Lake Thun. But as we continued, we came upon a road closure and had to take a little side road. We sat behind about 5 cars, all waiting patiently for a man who was controlling things at our end for about 10 minutes, with only sporadic traffic keep coming off this single track road, which was now our intended route. I decided I was moving to the front of the queue as I was sure there was sufficient space for us all. I made my way down the outside of the cars and pulled in. As expected, everyone followed me, and I had presumed they would, so I made sure there was enough space for them all to fit in. It's amazing how 10 bikes can squeeze into a space maybe only 2 cars can fill. I had another biker at the side of me, and he had a glance round at us all. I think he thought better than to say anything, but I was nice and polite. I spoke to him and gestured for him to move off before us. I asked him how long he had been waiting. He said around 20 minutes, which was ridiculous. However, once through, I understand why. I waited a further 5 minutes, which in the heat of the day with your riding gear on is quite a long time, before eventually a bus came down the lane. Now the man spun his sign and waved us through. We all set off moving relatively quickly just to cool off a bit. This track was about 2 miles long, and when we got to the other end, there was another man holding the traffic at the end. It's no wonder it took so long for the traffic to clear the road, but that episode cost us about 40 minutes, and it also took us out of our way. We continued on some amazing twisting country roads though, through the UNESCO Biosphere Entlebuch, which is Switzerland's largest and most numerous moor landscape, with over 400 square kilometres of unspoilt moorland and idyllic alpine pastures. And yes, you guessed it, lovely country twisting roads, the kinds where you can ride at a reasonable speed and just flow the bikes around the bends. Eventually made our way to the village called Thun, and then headed southeast along the side of Lake Thun. Now this lake is massive, so we did ride for a while before we arrived at our comfort stop, Eden Beach Café. This leg should have taken us 1.5 hours. However, due to the road closure and the slight detour, it was now 2 hours 10 minutes. The lake itself had that distinctive turquoise water associated with the Alpine mountains, but made for a great team photo, with the lake and the boat in the background and a very enjoyable coffee. The owner was very accommodating to us and even took a photo of us. After we had satisfied ourselves and spent a penny, as the saying goes, we got on our way again, now heading towards Grimsel Pass, our last pass of the day. The weather had been fabulous all day, but our luck was about to change, just as the prediction had said. After riding the remainder of the lake and then leaving it behind, we approached the lower roads of the pass and the rain started. A little bit of a pitter-patter at first, and then it got a bit more. So I pulled over at a gravel lay-by. Then we all could get into our riding gear, get our waterproofs on, and that could be quite funny to watch. It's not easy putting them on over riding gear. It's quite awkward, to be honest, trying to remain balanced, having to hold on to the bikes to prevent yourself from falling. And then there's the age issue, not being as flexible as we needed to be to do that. Once we were all suited and booted, we continued. As we rode further and started to climb, the rain got heavier. After a number of hairpin bends heading ever upwards, As we approached the dam, which was nearly at the top, the rain seemed to subside to a really light pitter-patter again. We stopped and put all the bikes in a line with the dam behind us and some of those nice twisties still to come behind that. We took a nice team photo, courtesy of Deborah, who opted not to be in this one. The wind had started to build and was getting quite blustery, and we were not sure how long the rain would hold off for. We continued up the remaining hairpins and came to the top of Grimsel, and just as we came over it, the Mutterhorn was directly in front of us. We could see the remaining impressive zigzag of Grimsel Pass heading down off Gartenstenholme mountain, the valley below, and then Furka Pass heading up Gross Bielenhorn and the Rhone Glacier in the distance. But as the Furka Pass made its way upwards, you could also see the famous hotel Belvédère. This was a photo opportunity not to be missed. However, the image just does not do the view justice. We continued our journey down the amazing twisties of Grimsel Pass, which had a different view every time we made a switchback. A real pleasure, which can certainly make the descent dangerous. You are constantly admiring the view for a second or two before your eyes are having to revert back to the road. As we made it to the bottom, the rain started again and stayed with us till we arrived back at the hotel. We parked the bikes outside the hotel and made our way inside. We had arrived back just after 7 p.m, a bit later than planned. The owner's wife was not impressed with us. We asked if we could do dinner at 8, but she made her feelings very clear on that subject and told us to hurry up, for the kitchen closed at 8. We made our way in for a quick shower, then straight down for dinner. And the topic was clearly what a magnificent day we had just had. Everyone was mighty impressed with it, but the question on everyone's lips was simple. How was tomorrow going to be better than today? My response was, well, you'll just have to wait and see. I knew every day was a good day. After our meal had finished, I made my way back to my room for a call with my wife Janice to find out what life back home had been like whilst looking after our 4 foster kids, and how our Max was doing. Alas, it was not good news. Max was still not good and remained in doggy hospital, kept on fluids but not eating anything. Janice had been to see him, but she said he just looked miserable, could not even muster a tail wag when he saw her. He just laid in between her legs while she was there. And when it was time for her to leave, the veterinary nurse called him and he just walked back with her. His sad demeanour brought a tear to Janice's eye. After our customary hour-long phone call and me saying goodnight to our 2 eldest kids, it was time for Janice to go to bed. It was 10 o'clock in England, but 11 o'clock here in Switzerland. It was going to be a late night for me as usual. I had to get my video made, and then finally I could go to bed around midnight or just after, before my customary 6 to 6:30 morning rise. Day 4 had seen us ride 216 miles in predominantly mountainous roads from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. That's a long day in the saddle. And that's all for now, folks.